Hi, I'm David Gewirtz, and welcome to my office. I've been working from home now for about 20 years and on and off before that. This office is relatively new. We moved in here just a couple years ago. I've got it pretty much up and running, although there are areas of improvement I'd like to add to it. But you're looking at my desk area, including my very cherished desk that I bought years ago from a Kmart. The company who makes it is no longer in business. It's a very inexpensive desk. It was $100 or something when I bought it. But what I like about it is it's in a sort of a V shape, and I can mouse over here and keyboard and support my arm with it. As you can see, I have a very nice widescreen monitor and an old Apple monitor. And what I did with the old Apple monitor is I 3D printed a stand for it, which I'll show you the design of, that lifted it exactly to the right height to match the other monitor, which is just really awesome. I really enjoy the fact that it's a nice swoop around. I do have another monitor hooked back there, which I'll show you in a few minutes, and another monitor over here, which I'll also show you. So this whole system is powered by a 2018 Mac Mini, pretty fully equipped. It's got an additional GPU. There's a local RAID that's attached to it, a Drobo RAID, as well as my server. And that gets me pretty much up and running. Up here, I also work downstairs. Let me back up. This is upstairs. This is a single room upstairs. It's the only upstairs part of our house, and I work up here, and I work on my articles, I work on my videos, I do webcasts, I do interviews, and so forth. So this space has become half office space and writing space and half studio. Now, many of you have seen other parts of my work environment. You've seen the Fab Lab, which is downstairs, and the workshop. So I'm not going to go into those too much here, but this is a good start for understanding a little bit about my office. Starting at the right of my desk, you'll see my mouse, which is just a very simple Logitech mouse. The Contour Shuttle Express, which allows me to shuttle back and forth navigating in Final Cut when I do my video editing. And the Space Mouse, which allows me to move in three-dimensional space, which I really quite like. As we move around, you'll see that I have a Logitech keyboard, and attached to the Logitech keyboard I have my Apple trackpad and my iPad. And I sometimes use the iPad as an external monitor to be able to put like control surfaces down onto the iPad. But I also sometimes use it as a secondary reference while I'm working on either the big screen or the screen to the right. I use the trackpad also for navigation in Final Cut, and what I really like about having it up there above the keyboard is I don't have to remove my hand from the keyboard to be able to do some quick trackpad navigations. Next to that, I have the Stream Deck, and I have that set up to do window movements, very rapid window movements, to be able to put windows in thirds, put them on one screen or the other screen, and I use that a lot when I'm doing research. And I also have it set up to be able to give me a pile of Final Cut keystrokes. I have a Scan Snap sitting behind that. That's a little scanner, and it allows me to quickly scan in documents if I need. You can probably see the Echo in the back there. And that gives me both tunes and control over things like the air conditioning system and so forth up here. It's also a great intercom to the rest of the house, so if my wife wants to say something to me or I want to say something to her, we can use that as an intercom. And then you see a variety of small things, a fan control and some nice mints, and the charging cable for my iPhone and so forth. So that's what's on the surface of my desk. Up here is one of my favorite recent updates. This is a Blue Yeti microphone and a Plouffe filter, but it comes down and extends out and over when I'm doing webcasts or Zoom meetings, but it'll also go up and out of the way when I'm not. I used to have it here and it was blocking my screen, and instead I attached it to one of the auto poles, which I'll show you as we take the rest of the tour in the office. I've attached it over there, which makes it much, much easier to use, and it's out of the way except for when I need it. So this next item is really cool. It's a necessity is the mother of invention kind of thing, and it's my little credenza. For those of you who saw my ultimate cable organizer, you saw that I built a jig to help cut the cable organizer, and I used a slab of wood picked up from the hardware store. Well, this is that slab of wood. I took off the jig components, stuck it on top of 2 file boxes, and boom, I've got myself a really nice credenza that works really well. At some point, I'll build a more formal piece of furniture, but for now, we've got the credenza. And you can see my 3D printed engine block back there. I have a video upcoming at some point soon, which will take you through the making of that engine block, but it's really cool back there, and it shows up nicely in my, my Zoom meetings, so I kind of like having it there. So this chair has been something I've wanted in my office for quite a while, and it turns out I was able to find a used chair from a neighbor. They were getting rid of it for like 35 bucks. We bought a slipcover from Amazon, popped it on top of the chair, and now I have this really nice lounge chair. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's an ottoman here. And on the other side, I have a very nice, very inexpensive TCL Roku TV that I can use to either use as an external screen for the Mac Mini, or to watch something on when I feel like taking a break from writing. I can also use it to display some of my videos, so I can proof my videos on an actual TV, which is nice. But really, the fact is this is just a very nice spot to sit back, chill out, take a break, while I'm thinking about what to write next. So this is my working studio space, and this is where I do interviews with both ZDNet folks and with national media. I also conduct interviews with various executives. This is basically my talking head studio. And a couple things are of note. This monitor is attached to the Mac Mini, and what it will do is it's a completely separate workstation. We've got a mouse and a keyboard also attached to the Mac Mini. So essentially I have 2 workplaces, 2 workstations attached to one Mac Mini behind my desk. The teleprompter, sometimes I use for teleprompting, sometimes I use it for notes, but what I use it mostly for is to take the face of the person I'm talking to and put it up here, so that when I'm talking, I'm looking straight into the camera and not down or over to the side. I found that without that, I tended to not look straight at the camera, and it didn't come out quite as well. So I put the teleprompter here, and since I've done that, that's worked really well. This is my Ear Trumpet Labs microphone. If you've seen almost any of my interview videos, you've seen this microphone. It's a favorite of mine. I've got a mixer back there. This is the new A10 Mini, and my current plan is to upgrade this system, which currently has a Logitech Brio camera, put a DSLR back there, pipe that through the A10 Mini, and use the A10 Mini's capability to control the green screen, which can be behind here if I wanted. I have a backdrop based on the shelves that came with the house, and that looks really good. But I also have a green screen that will stand up if I need to use it, which allows me to have pretty much any background I want as well. So you can get a little bit better feel for the studio space here. I've got auto poles here, 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 and here. These 2 auto poles provide light to help illuminate the green screen properly. And these are, at the moment, this one's not really being used. It was initially intended to project light that way because I had thought that I was going to be setting up another area for interviews, and COVID-19 is not allowing me to have in-person interviews, so that plan is a little bit on hold. And this one holds up mostly my my headset. So it's a very convenient place to hold the headset. But again, there were going to be 2 lights on these 2 back stands pointing in that direction. and that was going to be another studio set. That's not happening right now. But you can see a pretty good view of how this area comes together. So this is the interview area, and the idea was to either put the green screen back here, get rid of these hooks obviously, and either put the green screen or a big TV back there as a background, or even some art. And it would provide the opportunity for two of us to be able to have an in-person interview. This is, at the moment, quite obviously not happening. And as you can see, what I've done is I've got the camera that I'm talking to is just right behind the interview camera and pointed this way to allow me to do this filming. Also, I should probably point out these curtains. These are blackout curtains. They're gray. And this room had a very, very bad ringing sound quality in here because everything was sort of bouncing off of the walls. When I put in the blackout curtains, especially when I'm over at my desk, it diminishes that quality of sound and makes it a little bit less hard to listen to. Additionally, in the late afternoon, right about now in fact, there is a brutal sun that comes in off of this window and shoots straight onto my screen and makes it impossible to see the screen. So these curtains help that. They were relatively inexpensive. I think we picked them up from Walmart. Might have been Amazon, I'm not sure. I'm not a fan of curtains, to be perfectly honest, but for the purposes of what do you need to make the space work, it worked quite well. This upstairs room came with a lot of interesting features, including the wall of Ikea shelves that were just here and are mounted against the wall and are incredibly useful both for storage and for a video backdrop. Sometimes they're not quite big enough for a few things, but generally speaking, they work really well, and I'm really quite happy with them. So if we turn the camera around and we point it in the other direction, we have this interesting cabinet built-in unit that was attached to the Ikea shelves. And among other things, it has this nice little shelf inside, and it's where we have our main server. I have 3 servers in the house. This is a Synology. This one is an IOSafe, and there's another Synology server downstairs that manages the security system and surveillance. But this area has proven to be a really helpful little spot. This computer comes out when I need it. It is used primarily for disk management, for dealing with, whoops, let's pull this out, for plugging in disks and pulling data off of disks that need to be recovered or backed up or whatever, old disks that might have some archive information, or for zeroing out and debanning disks that I want to get rid of. So this is another favored feature that came with the house. When I first saw it, I was like, well, what am I going to do with a sink up in my office? And then I realized, coffee. So I have the cherished Keurig coffee maker here. I have a little teeny weeny microwave, which I have actually yet to use, even though I've been here 2 years with it. I've got a little coffee making setup up here, and, you know, coffee. It doesn't get better than that. And if we look from the other direction from the coffee bar, you can see my upstairs workbench, which runs a pretty decent distance down. I use this for working on computers, doing repairs, doing small projects. I've filmed down onto it for review products, that sort of stuff. It's just a really good general purpose work area. And to finalize all the goodies that are in this office, I have a little tiny mini fridge down there where I keep 0-calorie Gatorade. All right, so you have seen my office. As I said, there's also the Fab Lab and the workshop downstairs, which is where I do most of the DIY IT project work. But this has been a wonderful space. It's one of my favorite. Of all the home office spaces I have, I think this is my favorite. It's nice, it's comfortable, it's big enough to do a variety of things. I'm able to integrate both the studio and my desktop together with one pretty powerful computer. I love it. And I hope that as you folks build your home offices, you're able to do the same. Now, I'm going to point you to a video I did just before I moved here, and that showed how I worked out of a kitchen in a rental house while we were trying to find the new house that we're moving into. And I want you to see that because I want you to see that it is also possible to work from almost any location if you put some intention into it and you think it through and you optimize it given what you're doing. I mean, I've worked out of the car, I've worked out of hotel rooms, I've worked out of a little 9 by 9 foot square, I've worked out of this wonderful space. I even worked out of our living room, which was great until we got the puppy and then it became unmanageable. But the point is that I've worked from home for about 20 years in a wide variety of settings, and I've gotten the job done. And each time it's had a different personality. The space has been optimized differently. It took a little bit of work, but as I showed you, you can do some of these things without a lot of expense. I mean, I showed you the credenza that I put together that was half of an $8 piece of wood and some file boxes. So you can be creative and create a really effective home office environment, even if you haven't been doing it for 20 years and constantly looking at ways to make it better. If you're starting out now, just focus on what you need. Focus on giving yourself a quiet space where you can concentrate or set down times where you're able to work. And then don't be afraid to think outside the box and create a space that works. Remember, if you're working from home, this is your work. It's not a recreational activity. This is how you make a living. So it is worth it to put some time, energy, and sometimes investment into the place that you use to make a living and help support your family. And with that, I'm David Gewirtz for ZDNet's DIY IT. Go out there and build an awesome home office.